Worst case scenario, I think for people that are married, I've heard these stories where like a guy marries a girl, she gets pregnant from another guy. He doesn't know, so she gives birth to this baby that he thinks is his. He's raising it for the first few years. Then he finds out it's not his. And then legally, he still has to financially support another man's kid.
Because once you sign the birth certificate, a lot of people don't know about this.
Fuck.
Once you sign the birth certificate, you legally are in charge of that kid.
Women are finally waking up to the fact that you can't waste your youth on the wrong guys and then expect Mr. Right to be waiting in the wings when you're ready. Real men aren't interested in being a backup plan. As long as social media continues to be a playground for narcissism and selfishness, society will keep spiraling downward. A civilized society needs strong communities, which start with families that actually stick together. As long as social media remains a platform for unchecked behavior, society will continue its downward spiral of self-indulgence and moral decay. A truly civilized society requires a foundation of strong communities, which starts with intact families being the norm, not the exception. Historically, marriage served as a means for families and tribes to forge alliances and increase their power, rather than as a platform for romantic love. While love could develop within a marriage, the primary purpose was strategic and political. Despite changes in societal norms, the fundamental concept of marriage remains unchanged throughout history. It is the attitudes and actions of women, particularly feminists, that have shifted, undermining the institution of marriage. Physical intimacy is crucial for maintaining a healthy relationship. When passion and closeness fade, it's natural to fear that your spouse may no longer find you attractive or may be seeking intimacy elsewhere. If intimacy is lacking in your marriage, it can lead to gaps in verbal and emotional communication with your spouse. Traditional causes of intimacy issues include stress, low self-esteem, rejection, and resentment. However, nowadays there's a new player in town, the woke feminist narrative. This narrative promotes an anti-male agenda and empowers women to deny men intimacy, further straining marriages. This shift has contributed to the rise of movements like Men Going Their Own Way, MGTOW, where men are increasingly opting out of marriages with women altogether. A 2019 survey found that 19% of couples were in marriages without intimacy, with some couples going a year or more without intimate moments. In contrast, 25% of couples reported being intimate weekly, and 21% enjoyed intimacy a few times a week. About 35% had intimacy 1 to 3 times per month in their happy marriages. It's clear that many women are no longer motivated to engage in intimate activities with their husbands. This situation often arises because men fail to maintain the behavior that initially attracted their wives. They may assume that once they have the ring, the effort can stop, assuming she even earned it. Guys, be prepared for a drop in intimacy once you transition from having a girlfriend to a wife. Western spouses are notorious for their behavior, snobby, complaining, and often lacking enthusiasm in intimacy. When it comes to intimacy, expect starfish performances. Wives may not do you any favors in public, as their focus is often on how much money you can provide. With power in their hands, wives can behave poorly, leading to a loss of influence for you once you're married. Once you've signed that marriage certificate, she knows she has you, especially if she gets pregnant. Whether you divorce or not, you may feel financially trapped with her for life. When a man tells his friends he's marrying a woman who wore him down, they know it's likely the beginning of the end. After 7 years, 3 children, and a couple of affairs, he might find himself dealing with an overweight, controlling woman. Women understand that girlfriends have to work harder than wives, and men often realize that girlfriends are preferable to wives. In today's world, women seem to prefer a pyramid scheme dynamic. Work once for a payout every day. 1 honest session of intimacy, 1 child, and a good lawyer later, and she could potentially live the rest of her life lounging and vacationing. Why should a man steer clear of marriage? Because there's simply nothing in it for him. When an action offers no benefits, it's wise to refrain from taking it. The common notion that unlimited free intimacy comes with a woman's marriage package couldn't be further from reality. Soon after she receives the ring and he signs away his life in the minister's office, intimacy begins to dwindle. By the end of the first year of marriage, his intimate life is often non-existent. The so-called free intimacy in marriage ends up being the most expensive thing a man will ever pay for. Even after a divorce, he continues to pay for the last physical relationship he had, often for 18 years or more. Marriage to a woman is essentially relieving her of life's burdens, but it's a gift that keeps on demanding from the man. With so many men sharing their awful experiences in divorce court and considering the high divorce rate, why would any rational man want to take on such risks by getting married? Modern women often prioritize the wedding day and the idea of being married over actually being a wife. Throughout history and into the present, women have been toxic, and it seems that won't change in the future. Men are better off forgetting about them and finding contentment elsewhere. While the traditional role for men remains largely the same, the rewards for fulfilling that role have dwindled. Traditional benefits for men in relationships are now discouraged and socially condemned. Many women today, including younger ones, are self-absorbed and self-centered, leading to a lack of peace at home. For example, in my younger years, there were two incredibly attractive women in our social circle who knew how to manipulate and attract any man they wanted. They seemed to have it all. However, years later, I encountered one of them and was shocked by her decline. In her late 30s, she looked worn out and had nothing to show for her earlier allure, not even a car. It's a pity she didn't heed the warnings. As for the other woman, I heard she died from drug abuse, a tragic outcome of chasing false gods or ideals. Such a lifestyle often leads to a lonely or premature end. You're facing an 80% chance of being financially ruined by a wife, and a 20% chance of being falsely named as the father of a child that isn't yours. Add to that the roller coaster of changes during menopause, and you've got a recipe for disaster. Modern women often expect you to read their minds and constantly entertain them. It's safer to stay single, protect your money, and keep your sanity intact. Instead of risking your well-being with modern women, invest in your goals and aspirations. Work diligently to achieve them, and when you do, set even higher ones. The current statistical risk and potential loss of freedom and reputation make any relationship with a woman, even a perfect 10, not worth it. Many women and some beta men lack the physical and spiritual fitness to be considered marriage material. Handling relationships with average intellect, finances, and emotional stability is the norm in about 90% of homes worldwide. Building a relationship on shaky personalities is like constructing dreams on sand instead of reinforced concrete. The lack of a solid foundation leads to inevitable breakage. For a successful marriage, commitment, a growth mindset, and a foundation of well-being in physical, intellectual, financial, social, and spiritual realms are essential. In the past, marriages were guided by close-knit communities and upheld by family elders who held couples accountable. There was no need for the intrusive court system with its women-centric laws. Today, men are wary of entering into a contract where they stand to lose everything. Until women are held equally accountable, men will continue to protect their hard-earned money. Men are reminding women that they have been independent for a long time and have not forgotten how to enjoy it. And that's it for today on Sigma Traits. Make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that notification bell. Support this channel through membership. You can also support through PayPal link in the description. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you all tomorrow.